Hello there, this is Adam Shaw. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to get to know me. Your time is precious and can't be replaced, so I really appreciate yours. Now, my timeline, I was born in 1972 and I moved to a psychiatric hospital in 1973, which sounds a bit crazy, which I suppose it may sound. My parents both worked there and they were psychiatric nurses, so we lived within the grounds, giving me a very interesting and alternative upbringing. I spent much of my childhood playing in nature and being very curious about mental health. I noticed that what they did with the mental health patients was allow them to wander around natural environments, and so I spent a lot of time doing that. In 1989, I started a job at a merchant bank. I also passed my driving test and rolled my car 6 weeks later. I finished up upside down in the woods after driving at about 80 miles an hour in a very narrow lane in a country back pass, which was very, very foolish. But then I've had that tendency, especially when I was young. I've also been very, very lucky. In 1991, I handed in my notice. I'd had enough working in the merchant bank, and I decided I wanted to go and work at a summer camp in Pennsylvania in the USA. That summer I realised I'd never be happy working in a full-time job long term. I needed longer holidays. I knew that I loved travelling, and I went on to spend 6 years overseas, visiting 6 continents and working in 4 of them. In 1992, I became a nurse and a part-time fitness instructor. In 1993, I learned about pharmacology for health and moved into a nurse's home. In 1994, I discovered that nurses' homes aren't always the healthiest places to live, especially for me. In 2002, after witnessing much death, illness and pain, I realised that it was time to find alternative health methods, and I started by discovering Reiki. In 2003, after completing my training in neurolinguistic programming, timeline therapy and hypnotherapy, I left my job and my home to start again in Sheffield. I sold everything that I owned and stopped working to reflect on my life again. In 2004, when travelling in Thailand, I ended up working with my friend who started a new business. While I was staying on Koh Samui, the tsunami hit. Luckily, the island was unaffected, but I wasn't. It made me reflect on my life and ask some really searching questions, especially being on a Thai island so close to where the tsunami hit. It was more luck than judgment that I wasn't on one of the affected islands. So I started questioning my life and my entire purpose. On New Year's Eve in 2004, I went on a silent meditation retreat to learn yoga and meditation. Now, from someone who's never meditated before, to spend 8 hours a day, 10 days on the bounce in complete silence, sitting down and aching, it was more like a course in self-mutilation. But I certainly learned a thing or two there. In 2006, I returned to the UK and went back to nursing. In 2007, I discovered Walk Innovation's active energy system and left nursing for good. I realised why I'd left in the first place, and I also let my PIN number expire. I would never go back to nursing. I spent my time since then developing the active energy system and investing in training for personal development, energy medicine, alternative therapies, and business studies. My biggest conclusions from working with so many people at the end of their life is that life is relatively short. Enjoy it while you can, because most people spend most of their life looking forward to something that never happens and missing out on the present, taking the people and the things that they love for granted. Balance is the key. So many people who get ill, they beat themselves up over what they've done that doesn't work. It's also okay to realize that some things don't work and to balance them out with things that do. So if you are going to smoke or drink or do anything that you might consider unhealthy, well, balance them. And the active energy system is a perfect balance. If you're in doubt, follow your heart. This is the biggest conclusion of all. So many times people have advised me and my head has circled round and it's made sense. But whenever I haven't followed my heart, I've ended up in trouble. I've ended up in its extreme as having angina when I start following my head above my heart. So this is the biggest conclusion of the lot. Okay, here's my disclaimer. I've still got some lifestyle choices that would not be considered 100% healthy by the purists in the field. But I always balance them with the active energy system. Have fun, follow my heart, aim to make an impact, look on the bright side of life. My vision is to leave this planet in a better state than I found it. Promote more global responsibility. A few statistics I came across was that we are cutting down rainforests at a rate of 1.5 acres per second. Now, whether these statistics are true or not, they're certainly all over the internet. And our current rate of deforestation is wiping out 137 species of plant, insect, and animal every day. I encourage you to start thinking more globally, to at least consider what we're doing to our planet, especially if you've children and you'd like them to have a planet to live on. But I like to have more fun whilst I do it. We all know what's wrong in the world, but if we can have fun while doing our best to make a difference, then that's the main thing for me. So we can be light-hearted about really serious stuff. And I aim to do this one step at a time. And I'd love for you to join me on my journey. If you join this journey and leave your name and email on one of these pages, then I promise you that if we don't change the world, at least we'll have a little bit of fun on the way. I'd like to thank you for taking time to join me on this, and I really sincerely hope that we get to connect sometime down the line.